Hey everybody, it is Thursday afternoon, May 1st, which means that the high school sports playoff scene is exploding right now. I'm Kyle Parmley, Starnes Media, Under the Lights. If you followed along with us for any amount of time, you know that we cover about 10 high schools in this Birmingham area with the publications that we produce and are online. So here's what I want to do today. I want to give a little bit of an update on all the high school spring sport action that's going on because, as you can see, one person, just no way in the world to be at all of these things. So let's try to digest what's been happening and what is going to happen over the next 2.5, 3 weeks as this stretch, this mad dash to the finish line comes on. So let's start with high school baseball. So here's who we still got. Mountain Brook, Chelsea, Hewitt-Trussville, and Hoover are all still playing. As of this recording Thursday afternoon, Chelsea is just now starting its Class 6A quarterfinal game series against Calera. So Chelsea can play a doubleheader on Thursday, a Game 3 if necessary on Friday. Chelsea swept Saraland in the second round of the playoffs last week. 2 one-run games, really impressive performance by the Hornets to go all the way down to Saraland, pick up a sweep, and come on back. So Chelsea baseball is still going. Also in the 6A playoffs, Mountain Brook still alive. They beat Buckhorn 11-1 in the decisive Game 3 on Monday. So they split their first 2 games. Mountain Brook comes back in Game 3 and rolls through. So let's see, this weekend, Mountain Brook's going to travel to Gardendale. They're going to play a doubleheader starting at 4 o'clock Friday, Game 3 at noon on Saturday if needed. Let me preface all of that by saying weather could be a factor this week and this weekend. So there's a chance that by the time you see this, those times will be completely altered or just straight up incorrect. So we'll see how this develops. Also, in 6A, Homewood got to a Game 3 against Hartselle last weekend, lost in a tough game. Great season for Homewood, but they ran into a really good team at Hartselle. So Homewood, their run comes to an end in the second round of the 6A playoffs. Mentioned a couple of 7A teams. Hewitt-Trussville, they swept Sparkman, had no problem in the first round of the 7A playoffs. This weekend, the Huskies will be hosting Bob Jones, who is a very, very talented team, just like Hewitt-Trussville. The Huskies have been the top-ranked team in 7A all year long. So this will be a series to watch at Phil English Field for right now, 4:30 p.m. Friday, 1 p.m. Saturday, if necessary. As for Hoover, they swept Grissom last week in the first round of the 7A playoffs, and Hoover gets to come back home. They will play Tuscaloosa County, 4:30 Friday, 3 o'clock Saturday for Game 3 if necessary. So all those teams still alive in the baseball playoffs. Those finals will be in a couple of weeks in Oxford/Jacksonville State. They split up the 3-game sets for the championship series. So that's all happening. Good chance that some of our teams are still playing a couple of weeks from now. All right, let's move on to soccer. So many really, really good soccer teams in the Birmingham area, and it just stinks that so many of them have to either get knocked out before the playoffs or get knocked out early in the playoffs because of the quality of these areas in this region. Let's start with Mountain Brook. Mountain Brook's boys and girls got to host Homewood in the second round of the Class 6A playoffs, and the Spartans prevail in both of them. I mean, those are state championship caliber games played in the second round, which is unfortunate for all of us for not getting to see that on the biggest stage. But high-level soccer, Mountain Brook's boys and girls win both of them. So here on this Thursday, Mountain Brook's boys are going to host Gardendale tonight at 7 o'clock, Thursday at 7 o'clock. The girls are going to be at home against Pell City on Friday. We're into the quarterfinals of the Class 6A playoffs now. Let's run down the list a little bit more. Briarwood's girls knocked off Spain Park, who'd been one of the top teams in the state all year long. The second round exit for Spain Park's girls it's tough because of how good that program has been the last several years, especially the last 2 years. Get knocked out in the playoffs a little bit earlier than most people thought. So Briarwood's girls, they put forth a remarkable effort and knock off the Jags, so they're still going. Briarwood's girls will host Northridge on Friday at 6 p.m. All right, on the boys' side of the 6A playoffs, Chelsea had a thrilling comeback win. They scored a couple times in the late going, like maybe the last 15 minutes of the game, to beat Briarwood 3-2. Still hard to believe that Chelsea was able to come back and win that. So now Chelsea moving on. They're hosting Calera in the quarterfinals on Saturday at 7 o'clock. So the Hornets are moving on. Let's see. Also in 7A soccer, Vestavia Hills girls, they looked the part. They beat Prattville 10-0 in the first round. Had no trouble with that. Friday night, 6 o'clock at Thompson Reynolds Stadium. The Vestavia Hills girls will welcome in Thompson. Thompson finally got its first playoff win under head coach Dan DeMasters, who's been there several years now. Won a state championship at Oak Mountain. Took over this Thompson program. Has done a great job with it. So Vestavia will play Thompson on Friday. And then finally, Oak Mountain boys, the best team in the state, one of the best teams in the country. I mean, they're just unbelievable. They haven't lost, haven't been tied all year long. They are the real deal. They beat Thompson 6-0 in the first round, and they will host Prattville Saturday at 7 o'clock. So the Eagles will look to earn a trip to the Final Four. That's who we still got in soccer, so plenty of soccer action left. The semis and the finals are played in Huntsville at John Hunn Park next weekend, so that's coming real quick. Let's move on to softball. After the area tournaments took place over last weekend and some trickled into early this week, we got 5 teams still standing. Mountain Brook, Homewood, and Spain Park in 6A, John Carroll in 5A, and Hewitt Trustful in 7A. So 5 teams still alive. 4 of them, Mountain Brook, Homewood, John Carroll, and Hewitt Trustful, will all be playing in the East Regional, which is at Sand Mountain Park in Albertville next week. The days are kind of different depending on the classifications. So those 4 teams will be in the East Regional, and Spain Park will be in the Central Regional in Montgomery. So be on the lookout for that as well. A few other odds and ends. Golf sectionals are in the books. Several of our teams rolled right through that. The state tournament, the sub-state is next, followed the next week by the state tournament at Oxmoor Valley, right down the road here in Birmingham. So golf, plenty of great teams in this area as well. You know, the history of Mountain Brook, they've been phenomenal. Spain Park's really good this year. Vestavia Hill's really good this year. Homewood's always got a good program. The list goes on, right? So track and field, the outdoor track and field state meet is this weekend. Thursday, Friday, Saturday in Gulf Shores for all of our teams. So I would expect that we'll have some state champions come out of that. We know the dominance of the Hoover programs in recent years. Mountain Brook's track and field program has been phenomenal as well. And then there's several others that will be contending for those titles, those runner-up spots as well. And then in case you missed it, last week the state tennis tournament wrapped up and Mountain Brook swept, Vestavia swept, and Briarwood's boys all won state titles. Homewood's boys, Hoover boys did really well in their classifications as well. So, as you can see, so much going on. But hope this update helps you kind of keep up with, wrap your head around what's going on. So, if you're thinking, hey, let me go to a sporting event, there are no shortage of options around here. The playoffs are rolling. We'll keep you covered with updates. Be sure to follow along our Under the Lights Facebook pages, whichever paper that fits your area. Village Living, Homewood Star, 280 Living, Hoover Sun, Vestavia Voice, Cahaba Sun, whichever one of those is your community. Be sure you're following along on our websites and our social media channels because we will have plenty of updates as the playoffs continue on. So thanks for watching this video. All of our teams doing really, really good things, and we'll see how it wraps up.